So our meeting is preparing to go live, and I'm going to send everybody the link, and I'm going to put it in the chat. So you can send this to anyone who you would be interested in just seeing these presenters. That is the YouTube link. Please as well follow the DNT channel. There is so many. We are transferring all of the playlists of where DNT used to be live at, and we're going to be putting it on DNT's new YouTube channel. So please stay tuned for that. I'm going to ever so slightly turn this music down to the off position. All right. So I'm an excited guy. If y'all are happy today, if y'all are doing okay, can I get a thumbs up? Can I get a thumbs up in the video? I love it. I love it. That makes me happy. Let's get to going, everybody. All right. So first of all, welcome to Detroit New Tech. All right, everybody, you made it. I'm so happy you did. Again, there is so many Detroit new techs that, well, not Detroit new techs, but there's a lot of new techs that are happening. There is a San Diego new tech. There is specific new techs within California, some that are budding out of Texas. And one thing that we wanted to do here in Detroit is create a unity and create a body of like-minded entrepreneurs who have gotten their stuff off of the ground and are looking for either some type of investors or some type of feedback, responses of where do I go from here? What's the next step? And that's one thing that we are trying to do here with Detroit New Tech. That's one thing that we're trying to provide. So you are a part of this community. If you found out, you probably found out about us on Meetup, but let me tell you just a little bit about Detroit New Tech. We were founded in 2010. We have over 2,400 members on our Meetup page, if you see, and our networking resources rely a lot in the Detroit or Southeast Michigan community area. And we are encouraging and highlighting entrepreneurial startups, especially within this Detroit area. Now, one of our sponsors, he's actually trying to get some new entrepreneurs that are not even in Detroit. Reason being is because we want to include some of their entrepreneurial tendencies, especially if there is a good connection point into Detroit, right? We want to bring some of that into the state of Michigan. We want to bring some of that talent into like, hey, how can we make connections here? And how can you all make connections with them out there? So collaboration just provides these amazing, meaningful events. And that is the main thing that we are really trying to do. Now, my name is Micah Sanders, okay? So I am the host of Detroit New Tech. I've been the host for, I want to say, probably like a year and a half. Now, there are reports that there is a 30% higher chance that your audience will like you if you show them a picture of your family. So, you know, statistics. Of course, I try them. Now, that is a picture of my family right there. Now, if that 30% likability for me has gone up, you can put that in the comments. But that is my wife. I have known her. Her name is Dayla. I've known her since I was 3 years old. And we have had a very long friendship that led into something amazing more. That is our oldest son, wondering why a camel has one hump instead of two humps. His name is Jaden. And then the little one is about to turn 2 years old, and his name is Malachi. So that's a little bit about my family. Oh, I love the 100%. My likability rate. Oh my gosh, I can't wait to put that in the statistics. I love it. All right. So just to give you a little bit about your host and what just what I do and what makes me even eligible to even do such a hosting job like this. I work at Accelerate Kid, which is one of the sponsors for Detroit New Tech, and I deal with marketing and PR. So that deals with website updates, social media and content management, company branding, tech educator, and an SEL, SEA instructor. things around that nature. And I love being able to do all of those things. Now, for you to invest a little bit more into me, I do want to always discuss a little bit of my personal hobbies, which is playing pool. I just played pool yesterday, went by myself. I found out that there's a restaurant that has a basement that has a whole pool bar and everything, and nobody knows about. Let me tell you, that made me so happy. So that's one of my hobbies. I love photo and video editing. Why I do marketing, and then just random nature. I love nature. That's what allowed me to get into photo editing. And that's what allowed me to see certain things that, I really didn't notice or expect in certain areas. But why I do what I do is I love increasing and growing attention and awareness on specific matters, which is the reason why I love DNT, because every single one of you have either specific reasons why you're here, whether you're the presenters who have already started up their own business and is ready to get to going, or you're just wanting to know who's the next step. Like who's the next big thing? Who's the next big entrepreneur that I could potentially work with, that I could potentially know about? That's where I come in. I love increasing and making sure that attention and awareness gets out. Now, our agenda today is, and we are right now running at 7:12, so pretty much okay time. Our first presenter is Akil, and he is the CEO and founder of Phonica. And please, everybody, I might butcher some of the names. I try my best. And then we all have Q&A at each and every single individual speaker. Paul is going to be representing Detroit Arcology. He's the co-founder. And then we have Katrina Turnbow, CEO and founder of KanopiSocial. And of course, Q&A after every single one. Each and every presenter gets around 10 minutes to speak and then 10 minutes for Q&A. All right. So if you go into that 10 minutes, you're just presenting a little bit less time for your Q&A, but I'm going to make sure there's that time, and I'll make sure to put in the chat if you are closely running over. Now, I do want to give a special thanks to some of our sponsors. I know one is here. I represent Accelerate Kid and Accelerate for Kids. Accelerate Kid is a for-profit of our company, while we also have a nonprofit that deals heavily within the Detroit community. Veil is a legal entity, which we thank them for sponsoring us. And then we have Collider, Altimetrics, and we actually have someone representing Collider here, one of our sponsors, which is Ryan. And I want to give you some time to speak a little bit about what Collider does.
Hello, everyone. Quickly. So I'm here representing Collider. Collider is a community hub for tech professionals who are looking to level up their skills through digital business innovation. But yeah, like we typically would be in our space right now. It's like a 3,000 square foot space downtown. So in the future, we'll be there doing pitches. So come have drinks, relax in person. But we still are happy to support Be New Tech however we can through promotion and that kind of thing. But we are looking forward to these monthly meetups with entrepreneurs like yourself, because our goal is to essentially help tech professionals level up their careers however we can. We aren't myself and the community director, who is Jacob Smith, we aren't necessarily tech people, but we can help connect you to the right avenues. So yeah, you all have the skills that it takes to pay the bills. So hopefully we'll see you all in the future. But thanks, Micah, for having us. And we look forward to sponsoring you in person very soon.
Can't wait for that. I can't wait for that. I love the in-person meetups. So I love it. I love it. I love it. So thank you. Thank you so much, Ryan, for representing Collider. And I can't wait.
I'll drop our website link in
the chat too. So yes, please. They have an amazing office in downtown Detroit. So I can't wait for everyone to see it. Now, without further ado, we want to get into our first speaker. His name is Akil Konda. Nope, I'm not even going to try and do the last name. Nope, I'm not even going to do it. But Phonica is a digital platform, everybody, that offers personalized and affordable speech therapy for those who stutter. Our program, built using the latest AI advancements, will be capable of analyzing natural speech and providing feedback and recommendations. I am very intrigued to see this, and I'm going to all ready, I'm going to go straight to your presentation.
Great, thanks.
All right, can everyone see it?
Yeah.
Perfect. Hey, you have 10 minutes. I'll let you have the stage.
Yeah. All right. Great. And thanks for the warm introduction, Nico. I appreciate it. So hi everyone. My name is Akil. I'm a senior at the University of Michigan, and today I'll be presenting my startup, Phonica. If you go to the next slide, perfect. Thank you. I have had a stutter ever since I was 6. My parents already knew what it was, as my grandfather had it. So they were quick to send me to speech therapy. Next slide, please. Thank you. Here I worked with a speech therapist, an SLP, to learn strategies, improve my fluency, and become more confident in my ability to speak. Up until I graduated from high school, I attended these sessions with many SLPs, both in school and private therapy. However, I felt many of these sessions were not as effective as they could be. I felt little motivation to practice my strategies and out of touch with my therapist. After extensive research and informational interviews with people with fluency disorders and the therapists, I realized many people shared the same opinions as me. Next slide, please. Thanks. The problem is that speech language pathologists often only meet with their clients for 1 to 2 hours a week, which has been shown to be nowhere near enough for a substantial improvement. Additionally, through these limited interactions, the person receiving therapy often becomes disengaged, practices inconsistently, and loses control over their treatment. This commonly leads to the client becoming disinterested in therapy and reducing its effectiveness. To add to this, the majority of SLPs only give reports every 3 to 6 months, making it hard for clients and their families to keep track of their progress. These problems persist because there is a high demand for SLPs. Thus, they have to support a large number of clients and find it difficult to meet all of their needs. With over 7.5 million people in the US who have fluency disorders, the current population of SLPs struggle to meet their needs effectively. Current solutions only alleviate the administrative burden for SLPs, which include billing, reimbursements, and scheduling. But few seek to help the SLP engage with their clients outside of the therapy sessions, and none can offer measurement-based care. Thus, there is a need for a digital tool that enhances the speech therapy experience for both parties. And this is the gap Phonica aims to fill. So if you could go to the next slide. And it actually, no. If you could keep going down, that'd be great. Just in terms of a one-sentence description, Phonica is a digital platform that seeks to use AI to take speech therapy to the next level. Next slide, please. Thank you. Our solution is a secure, HIPAA-compliant digital platform to help speech therapists engage their clients through personalized assessments and training modules, track their progress, and gain actionable insights to better their treatment approach. The SLP and associated organizations, for example, schools and private practice clinics, would pay for the software and then allow their clients or students to use it. A flowchart of how our platform would better the status quo is on the right. As aforementioned, SLPs usually teach their clients strategies to improve their fluency and share associated resources. With Phonica, they're able to use our templates to create their own assignments and training modules and then share them with their clients to complete. This might include watching videos on how to use a strategy, practicing strategies with family members, or talking with a stranger. The people receiving their therapy are able to track their progress by recording themselves completing these activities and noting the context. By doing so, their therapist is then able to view and comment on their progress outside of the normal therapy sessions. Furthermore, Phonica is able to analyze the recordings, identify trends, and determine areas of success and improvement with AI, and then share resulting insights with both the therapist and client. In addition to fluency, the client's morale and confidence are just as important. We aim to track their thoughts and feelings surrounding their speech by implementing daily check-ins, where users would answer questions about how their day went, their speech, and any areas they want to improve on, goals to set, etc. This data is then shared with the therapist as further insights to better their treatment approach. Peer-reviewed research has established the efficacy of these methods, and we hope to make them accessible anywhere and at any time to aid speech therapists in helping their clients overcome their disfluencies. I'll now show some examples of our service. The next slide, please. Thanks. This is a workflow for how recording would work on the client side. First, they would record themselves, whether it's practicing strategies or trying to use them in conversation. Next, they would input information about the recording, location, context, etc. Next, our platform would store this information and then make it accessible at any time, as seen on the last slide. Our AI would also score the recordings for fluency, and using the information inputted by the user, identify trends in the recordings. For example, where they tend to do well or where they tend to struggle. Next slide, please. Here's the workflow for goals. With their therapist, the client can set goals and then complete assignments. Once completed, they receive points and a positive message, basically a gamification of speech therapy. This positive feedback has been shown to be extremely beneficial in speech therapy, and we plan to expand upon this team in the future. Next slide, please. Thank you. Finally, this is a prototype example of a client dashboard from the SLP point of view, the speech therapist point of view. Here we see basic information about me, my condition, my engagement statistics, how I'm doing in terms of fluency morale over the month, and my goals and assignments. The customizable tasks and training modules that the SLP can create for their clients are not shown here. Next slide, please. Thank you. The value of our service focuses on increasing the effectiveness of speech therapy. This includes giving the speech therapist actionable insights drawn from data about their clients, engaging the clients more by offering an easily accessible digital service, and giving them a better understanding of their treatment approach. Additionally, for clinics, happier clients means better revenue and testimonials, which could translate to increased revenue. Finally, speech therapists could potentially save money by taking advantage of reimbursements for virtual therapy services. To realize this value proposition, we will establish large, diverse groups of SLPs and their clients to test our software in focus groups and larger pilot studies, and then build robust outcome data sets to validate our platform. So in the interest of slides, can you skip down to the slide called current progress? Yes, skip down. Sorry. Yeah, exactly. Right. Perfect. Thanks. And actually, I'll just mention this quickly. So we're basically a B2B startup, and so our customers would be schools and private practice clinics who would pay for the software, such that the speech therapists they employed would be able to use our software. To better help the clients. And then in terms of pricing, basically the clinics or schools would pay per client per month. So for example, if a speech therapist treats 20 clients per month, like the cost of the software for the speech therapist would be $50 per month. So in terms of current progress, we've over the past couple of months, we've basically done a bunch of extensive informational interviewing and research, and determined our current value proposition, and additionally, through programs at Michigan, including the Zell-Lurie Institute and Michigan Business Challenge, we've been able to raise capital in the form of non-dilutive grants. To fund our initial approaches. And furthermore, we've already started testing low to medium fidelity prototypes with speech therapists and gathering their feedback. Our next most immediate milestone is to basically create a large testing group of speech therapists and then test a fully functional prototype within that group over the span of a month or two to basically see whether the software we're trying to develop is actually effective. So this control study would basically include tracking progress on the client side, like seeing if they benefit from using the software, like whether they engage in therapy more, whether they're more happy about therapy, etc. And we also gather data on the therapist side, like whether they think the platform is easy to use and easy to integrate into their current workflows. And then also whether their workload is reduced as a result of using the software. And yeah, so I guess in the interest of time, I think that's basically my 10 minutes. So yeah, so if anyone has any questions or comments, feel free to shout them out, or drop them in the chat. But thanks, everyone.
Do the claps. It is okay for us to get our claps going. That was amazing. Yo, there is a lot of information from that, and I don't want to hesitate. So I want to open the floor for questions or Q&A.
Yeah, thank you for the presentation, Akil. I'm curious, where do you find the people to test? You know, you were saying you were giving informational interviews and trying to find the value proposition. Where do you find the people to give you that feedback?
Yeah, of course, definitely. So I think so in terms like, you know, when I first started Phonica, I mainly interviewed people at Michigan. So whether it's students who stutter who attend Michigan, or speech language pathologists who work out of Michigan medicine. But then as I was able to establish those relationships, those people actually referred me to other people in the area, whether it's speech therapists working at private practice clinics in the area, or even like out of state, and even professors like who basically teach and research speech language pathology at other universities as well. So so I'd say for me, honestly, like most of the networking I've been able to do has actually been the result of other people, of people referring me to others. It's just been great, honestly. But, yeah.
Perfect. Yo, next question, because we still have, 10 minutes.
Oh.
Now it's around like 6 or 5.
That's
but does anyone else have questions or comments off of what he said?
I just want to say that this is really cool, Akil. I'm glad that you actually, came here and presented this for us. And I'll just let you know ahead of time that we'll be trying to get in touch with you to try to see if you, wouldn't mind doing more talks on your project, and just, to see how open you are to speaking multiple times about this. So.
No, of course. And on that note, yeah, I'm always happy to talk about Phonica. So. Okay.
How has it helped you in your progress?
Yeah, definitely. If I'm being honest, I think it's really helped me. So I don't think I mentioned this earlier, but I started the idea because actually I was having trouble, whenever I stutter in speech, especially during the COVID pandemic. So my idea was actually build an app that would allow me to record myself speaking and whatnot, and then with that I'd be able to track my stutter, etc. But I think the project has actually helped me in a lot of other ways. So like it's made me like come out of my comfort zone, and that I've had to talk about my project, to talk to other people who may have interest in the project, investors, stakeholders, etc. And I think essentially I think my stutter and my confidence in my ability to talk has really increased as a result of me working the project. So it's been great.
Awesome. All right, cool.
Thanks.
I love it. Again, another round, another hand clap for
Thank you, everyone.
Hey guys, guess what? So I did a workshop of explaining the benefits of where virtual took us. And one of the benefits is while I'm speaking or someone else is presenting, you can still have a completely total different conversation about giving a question in the chat. So whether you personally ask him a question or you still put it in the chat, do not think of it as rude. Please still get in contact with them in the chat. I would love to see more of what Phonica does. Now, it is time for Paul. He is the co-founder of Detroit Arcology, which we have an amazing logo, which you gave me, Paul. I love it. They develop an affordable and sustainable cooperative eco neighborhoods in Detroit, activate and enliven unused spaces, and empower people and tenants to participate in the democracy and contribute to each other. So I'm very interested in what he has to say. I'm going to pull up his slide.
Thank you for the intro, Micah. Could I share my screen? Because I have updated slides.
Of course you can. Of course you can. I'll stop my share, and then you can just go on and share.
Great. Thank you. So control freak tendencies I'm trying to work on.
Of course. And now you have the floor.
Can you see my screen? Okay. Wonderful. Thank you. So I am Paul Pham, and I'm working on a project called Detroit Arcology, and we're working towards an eco neighborhood of self-owning homes. And also that great description, I forgot I wrote it on the meetup, but it's still mostly accurate. So you may be wondering, what is an eco neighborhood, or what is a self-owning home? And yeah, what is it all about? So, well, first, the name Arcology comes from this futuristic hyper building. There was an experimental architect in the 70s, and he imagined that people would live in a city that was all one building, and they wouldn't walk as much. They would not drive cars. People would know each other, and they would sort of live off of solar power. And if you ever played the game SimCity, Arcology's appeared in there, and I'm a big science fiction fan. There's also other building styles like Earthships that are meant to be passively heated and cooled from the sun. So it's kind of an optimistic way that we live in the future in harmony with nature. But these approaches are often utopian, right? They seem kind of fantastical and out in the middle of nowhere. And so people have taken these approaches and kind of moved them into cities. This is Woodard Lane co-housing, where I lived in Olympia, Washington. So for a time in Washington State. And there are about 60 people. I think it may be 100 now. Families, small children, retired people, all ages living together. And this movement, co-housing, comes from Denmark, but it's spread around the world. And you get to know your neighbor. You eat together. People cook. So I was on a cooking team once a month. We got to grow our own food in the garden, and there was a playground, and deer would run through the meadows. And so it was a pretty idyllic place. And if some of you have heard about the solar punk movement, it's kind of in the same genre, optimistic future where we've solved many of our problems of scarcity with technology. So, in the abundant future, who decides a lot of things, right? Like, who gets to live in the utopia? Can we all live there? I mean, ideally, that's the answer, yes. Who designs it? And how do we cultivate, our community wealth, the wealth we have already, to pay for it? So my favorite William Gibson quote is, the future is already here. It's just unevenly distributed. And that's definitely true in Detroit. I'm sure, like, if you go to Corktown or downtown, you can tell the difference between there and if you go to, some other neighborhoods. So the project Detroit Arcology is our inquiry into community home building. So housing in Detroit is a subtle and complex landscape. And these are kind of the main points I wanted to touch on. Housing, it's expensive and there's not enough. One way to solve it is to go back to the land with this approach called community land trust that actually began with Black farmers outside of in Albany, Georgia in the 70s. And then here in Detroit, there are great organizations. I want to call out NACA, Neighborhood Association Corporation of America, for people to get mortgages. And there's possibly a way we can use an assembly line approach, things that Detroit, the Motor City, is very good at, to make home renovation and home building more efficient and work for everyone. I myself come from a background of software engineering and cryptocurrencies. So in the cryptocurrency blockchain space, there's something called a coordination game, and it's how people can coordinate without really, knowing each other well or agreeing to a bunch of rules beforehand. And I'm going to talk about something called a DAO, a decentralized autonomous organization, and how I think that has some features that could help in this problem. And then I'll talk about the houses that we're working on right now, Houses of Detroit Arcology, past, current, and future. And at any time, if someone has questions, I'm okay running over. I'd love to hear your feedback. And definitely at the end, I would love to know what this brings up for everyone. So I believe housing is a fundamental human need and even a basic right. And I think it's sort of the beginning of everything. So this quote here from Matthew Desmond kind of summarizes that part. These are some statistics from Detroit homeownership rates. So this is the difference between Detroit and then the three counties around Detroit. And the first is, how much of houses are occupied. So, how many abandoned buildings there are. And I'm sure many of you who go around Detroit know that many of the buildings are abandoned. So, and then the second number is the amount of homes that are owner occupied. So not rented, not sort of a renter-tenant relationship. And there's a disparity, of course, there as well between Detroit and the surrounding counties. And then finally is the amount of households who spend more than 30% of their income. And this is just a number that a lot of people agree on, that a good amount to not be too stressful, but also to have a good living situation, to spend about a third of your income on housing. And if you spend more than that, it is, I know for a fact that can feel kind of stressful. But it's, and then there's a survey of housing, this is just, again, showing there are a number of buildings that are abandoned, about 19% around Detroit. Many have fire damage, and many of our, mayoral candidates talk about demolition, and I'm sure you've seen demos around the city as well. But it's not all doom and gloom. This is a huge opportunity in Detroit, because now, if you want to become a homeowner, the Land Bank is an organization designed to sort of reassign these homes to people who can take good care of them and to renovate them. And it's a big opportunity. I moved to Detroit in October 2020, and I was inspired by my friend Adrian, who's one of my partners here on Detroit Arcology. And there are challenges for sure, but also a lot of opportunities, a lot of housing stock. And we would love to see native Detroiters, longtime residents, be able to use these resources effectively. And we ourselves, I tried to go through the home buying process, and I found it sort of very slow and difficult. And I'll talk about some of those as well. Here's just some statistics from Finland. They sort of have a housing first approach. So they give people free housing up front without asking them to work for it or pay off a mortgage or anything. And they've seen, higher employment, lower crime rate, less problems. And then I believe, they decreased it in half from 1980s up until now. So it's kind of a radical approach, where here in America, I think we still want people to earn their mortgage and pay things. And, it's a complicated issue. There are views on both sides as well, but that's one approach of putting housing first. So what's our approach? I myself have noticed that renting leads to this landlord-tenant dynamic, and so people can treat each other like their business model. So it's kind of a cold, detached view and less human. The landlord treats their tenant as sort of like their source of income, and the tenant treats the landlord sort of like a service provider. And so it's kind of dehumanizing in a lot of ways. And when I imagine sort of a warm future that I think all of us would like to live in, we don't think of houses as just a financial asset, right? Just like dollar signs. Houses provide housing. It's a thing that people need, and it's inherent in the house itself. So how can we mutually win? So my approach right now is to facilitate microloans. So if you are a first-time home buyer, what would help you is to get a microloan to sort of start the process of choosing a home and starting to renovate it. And one way to secure it, because all loans need collateral. I'm getting into sort of financial engineering talk, which I'm a huge nerd about. And so If you are interested in this, please ask me about it more later, but you can place a voluntary lien on your house. It doesn't affect your credit. And this is what all mortgage companies do, right? Like Quicken Loans, Rocket Mortgage, they're all put voluntary liens on your house in exchange for these loans, but you have to own the house first. So that's kind of a chicken and egg problem. And then another approach, which we take from community land trust, is to separate the house from the land it sits upon. And that decreases the cost of buying the whole property. And then also lets you steward the land forever. So you you have the land, take it off the market, and you lease it, these long-term leases to the homeowner for 100 years. And then you use the funds from that. We intend to use the funds from that to renovate the next house, sort of create a virtuous cycle where like the first house, which we're working on now, renovates the next 2 houses. Those 2 houses renovate the next 4 houses. And then we don't have to apply for outside grants, which is often a financial problem that ends a lot of projects like these. So community land trust, that's an approach that we take a lot of inspiration from. And the key point is that they separated the land from the house, which is not that uncommon. It is for houses, but for commercial buildings, they've been doing it for a long time. And here are some example numbers, but the overall point is that, the cost of land, if you have a 5,000 square foot lot, which is like an average single family lot, $1.40 per square foot, that's about, $7,000, $8,000. If you don't have to buy the land, land trust already owns it, that's $8,000 less off of, let's say, a $5,000 land bank house, and then another $55,000 or so to renovate it. So these are about, $60,000 houses. And then, I'll talk next about this great organization called NACA, Neighborhood Association Corporation America. I went through the first step of their 10-step process on Saturday. And, in some ways, if I had known about this earlier, they've done a lot of things that I thought would be really helpful to do. So I really want to work with them more closely. If anyone is on the home buying path or thinking about it, I would definitely say go here first. And now I see the role of Detroit Arcology is helping sort of make this process more efficient and to help coordinate multiple people. So if you buy multiple houses together and you renovate multiple houses together, you can make the process more efficient. You can negotiate with contractors. But these are the process. I've done step 1, which is the home buyers workshop.
Hey, Paul, just want to let you know the 10 minutes are up. So now it's going 10 minutes of Q&A. So just wanted to make that.
Oh, I appreciate it. Yeah, no, this is the first time I've given this talk. And so I appreciate all of you sort of following along with me as well. So I'll just go over, I'll finish up quickly, and then I would love to hear from other people. So the typical approach here is that you want to be a first-time home buyer, you have to show history of payment to NACA. That could take up to 2 years, but on average 1 year. And then you apply to the land bank. The land bank could take another year to sell you a piece of land. We've been waiting for over a year for one piece of land that we applied for. And we've heard stories from other people, longtime residents who have had to wait a long time as well. And then once you close on the land, you renovate your house, and that could take 6 months. So 30 months total, and then you get one house. And that's not bad, for a house in the range that we were talking about, around $60,000. But imagine if, you get 3 families together and, they each apply to NACA separately, and then they negotiate with builders. They could also accept microloans from, outside investors, people who, it's called a fixed income security, people who would normally put their money in a bank, which, interest rates are not very high right now, who would much rather, these lenders would much rather benefit their neighborhood instead. If we could match make them, then now everything we did before, we could renovate the houses sort of while the families are building their credit history by showing history of payments. And then now it takes 18 months from beginning to end, and you have 3 houses. And so, 18 divided by 3, this is computer science, software engineer math here. You get 6 months per house amortized. And the previous one was 30 months per house. And so these are just illustrative numbers, but there's a lot of gain to be had by doing this kind of thinking. And that's kind of approach you want to bring to the process. So if we hold land forever, how do we govern it? Well, democracy is always a good answer. It's the more viewpoints you have, the better, as far as I'm concerned. And there's a technology that makes it transparent and automated. There's a DAO. So if you guys want to go out and say, what is a DAO about? Can I participate for a DAO? Can I work for a DAO? And the best one today that I would send you to is called One Hive, and it's a community, and they issue their own currency. It's publicly traded. It has a dollar amount. They make proposals about how to spend it. They're all online around the world, and so what we would like to do is sort of have a more place-based community here in Detroit. But we take a lot of inspiration from this group. We have a forum. We'd love to have you join us. Here, we discuss what we work on day to day. It's a transparent organization, so everything we do, you can kind of see it and jump in the conversation. Here you can see Dame and Adrian, who are my main partners here. We track contributions in this automated way called Source Cred. So this is a leaderboard. I'm at the top, but not by much. I've just been working on this the longest, but everyone's contributions are tracked, including their forum posts. And then we would like to turn over the house, which I'll show you in a minute, to this community. So again, we would love for anyone in Detroit to be part of it and to help decide, what to do with this house, whether to sell it, whether to rent it, and then to use it to renovate the next houses. So the house on the left is the one that we're renovating. The house on the right with the big solar panel is Adrian's house, where I first lived when I moved to Detroit. And then Dame is renovating this house on Log Cabin Road, and we're looking for investors for that as well. And I'm strongly suggesting to him that we find a NACA qualified buyer, and have them be part of the process from the beginning. Because when you are renovating a home, you would love to specify, the finishes on the counter and sort of what the bedrooms look like and things like that. So those are our next steps. This is us, Dame, Adrian, and me. We invite you to join us. Here's our website and our Twitter/Instagram. And thank you for your time.
Give the virtual clap, everybody, the virtual clap or the virtual snap. Hey, we have 4 minutes for Q&A. I definitely want to give everybody a chance. So who has the first question for Q&A? Question, comments, concerns with Detroit Arcology?
So Paul, so the house that you're kind of running this first beta, I guess, on, is the land, is like the adjacent land ideally going to be a part of this, or is it, sorry if I missed that in the presentation.
Oh, that's a great question. Yeah, beta is actually a great way to think about it. From the software world, the beta is sort of a still in testing. So yeah, this is a beta. We're still trying to figure out what the right model is here. And the land underneath, we would like to separate from the house. And so if we find a buyer for the house when we're done renovating it, we would sell the house and keep the land in the trust. So that is fully our intention. And then also in Detroit, you can buy adjacent lots, like empty lots next to your house, for $100 more, and neighborhood lots, anything within 500 feet, for $200 more. And so if you don't know about that and are thinking about becoming a homeowner or are a homeowner, we highly encourage people to be aware of that. That's an easy way to add lots, and you can create like a neighborhood garden on it. You can create a food forest. You could build a tiny home, make a park. And but that's a great question. We do want to add those to this first house. It's part of the advantage of being, owning a home is so expensive that you sort of want to make it as economical as possible.
Anyone else? Katrina.
So in terms of making this idea neighborhood friendly, I'll call it that way, right?
Yep.
Because the neighborhoods you all are buying in and implementing these ideas may be really, really hard to grasp, right? For the average, person in the community, maybe. Not assuming, but, we're just going to say it's a reason some of these neighborhoods look like this. do you guys have like a plan or, in community engagement of where you are to kind of, bring people into the fold outside of, the arms of maybe the land banks or NACA or, different things like that, working with other organizations to help, bring this thought and this concept, a little bit, closer to home?
Yeah, absolutely. That's great feedback, and we definitely want to focus on there. And now I'm thinking it should be most of our focus. We do have a monthly meetup, which is a dinner meetup in at this house. While we're renovating, because we would love people to come by and see the progress we're making and sort of feel a part of it. And yeah, absolutely, we don't want the technology to get in the way of what we're trying to do, which is just sort of provide homes. That's the chief way we want to be measured from the outside. So in the future, because I had such a great experience with NACA, and they're a much bigger organization than us. They're in multiple cities around the country. They've received 18 billion from Bank of America that they are committed to giving out in these loans. I'm going to ask them to sort of come speak at a neighborhood event and sort of bring more people together. And everything I've presented, most of what I presented is an experiment, like a proposal, but I definitely want to talk to more people and see what would make their lives better. What is an approach that would fit well with them? And it could be that we take a more technological approach in the future, but I definitely want to transform houses and move first-time home buyers into them first. That's definitely the chief goal.
Hey, Paul, when's your next monthly meetup?
It is March 16th, so it's Wednesday. And sorry, I hope it's okay if I plug another meetup during this.
No, it's okay. Matter of fact, for time purposes, we want to make sure we have our next speaker available to still be able to speak in that time. So take that link and put it in the chat. We definitely want to make sure you put that in the chat. All right. And hopefully you can answer my question within the chat, Paul. Right when I think of community living and building, my instinct goes to how much square footage am I getting in this community-based living? And I have kids. I need square footage. I love space. So where's that maximum amount of space looking like for someone who is interested in community living? And how do we build, how are you guys building community living, but still privacy? Still managing that. So hopefully you can answer that in the chat for me. Everybody, his meetup is on there. So so hopefully we can see that. I am now going to be sharing the screen again. All right, everyone. Our next speaker is Katrina Turnbow. She's the CEO and founder of KanopiSocial. Katrina Turnbow. Wait, what is it? Am I saying the last name wrong?
Bow. B-O-W. Bow.
Bow?
Bow. Katrina
Turnbow. Bow. Okay. Katrina Turnbow. See, there it is. All right. I got it. I love it. As Google identified 9 community leaders throughout the United States to connect within their communities and help level the education playing field as it relates to digital marketing. And as a digital marketer, I'm curious of this. She's in the Detroit Google Coach. She is a Detroit Google Coach. And if you are a business owner, reach out. You will receive guidance on improving your web presence, learn how to reach new customers online, and grow your business using Google's online product services and advertising platform. So, Katrina, did you actually want to share your slide, or would you like me to?
No, you go ahead. I'll just tell you.
For sure. All right. Can everybody see the slides?
Yep. Think so.
All right. Your time is started. You have the floor.
All right. Hey, y'all. My name is Katrina Turnbow, and I am coming with information a little bit different. Akil and Paul, y'all out here changing the world through apps and next level information. So I'm coming with a little bit more of the here and now of what's happening in the city through personalization and services actually for small businesses. So I feel like when people say, oh my God, I got to come behind them, that's how I feel now. I was like, oh my God, they out here killing it. That's what's up. So shout out to y'all. I look forward to telling more people about you, but feels good to be with such esteemed company. So with that being said, again, my name is Katrina. I'm founder, CEO of KanopiSocial Digital Marketing. Thank you, Ryan. I'm an entrepreneur dedicated to closing the digital divide and working through other entrepreneurs. So I got a unique story. I don't know how old people are, but I have been in internet for 20 years. I think 21 years or something like that. So, okay, Paul, that's what's up. Been through there, and I started my world in internet actually being a salesperson for Comcast. So I'm a salesperson by trade who just happened to sell the internet, right? And what that looked like for me back in the day was, you can go to the next slide. What that looked like for me back in the day was I was the person who used to do door-to-door sales. I used to knock on people's door. They did that. And I was one of them. And I switched over people from dial-up to broadband. So, being in a space working for Comcast at the time, having that level of technology, I started actually with hardware. And it was pretty interesting because the information I was learning in terms of how data travels through these cables. So I'm a total information nerd. So I like to know about just about anything. But that was very exciting to me. Right. No idea what broadband. Right. So anyway, I was literally part of that first group when they were laying wires to go into apartment buildings, and I was part of that conversion. So I've always touched people. Again, I'm a salesperson by trade, so I'm driven by how you generate revenue, right? How small businesses, how people are effective and efficient. So long story short, I started off my early years in digital with large corporations. It was before people knew what an internet job was. I was generally the only person you would probably ever meet back then that had an internet job. They didn't even know what to call it. And the big thing that changed my trajectory in life is I helped launch autotrader.com. I probably was, let me back up. I didn't help launch it. I was one of the first territory reps. So I did launch to the territory. I probably was the sixth or seventh person on the team in Metro Detroit. So it was my job to actually go out and argue with car dealers on how the internet and people will buy cars offline. Who knew? Talking about a journey from autotrader.com to Carvana. Y'all have no idea. When I look at any car ad, I'm literally like, do you know the stress that was put on my life in my 20s because of car people in the internet? So, but it was the best experience in the world because, again, they're basically in that space of what we know the internet to be now, and everybody online, being the best and selling social media and all of that. Well, I'm pretty much part of that original space of it. And the killer part was, which was really funny, was I knew the market was going to crash probably 2 to 3 years before the auto industry crashed, because I saw what was happening, and it was because of internet. And I saw accessibility. I saw how it's impacting supply chain. Like, I just knew that, instinctively, of understanding business. So that was the anchor. And then came the next anchor. I started working for, if you were part of the Grouponing phase, well, I was another territory rep that helped launch livingsocial.com. So they were the immediate competitor to Groupon at the time. And it was like the high-end version, experiences and all of that. So I was a part of that team. So I was pretty known for a while of being the person and primarily the Black girl that, you know, could work the city. And that's the other thing that made my journey where I'm at very, very unique. You know, when I was working internet and working in Detroit, it wasn't cool. Wasn't nobody trying to be here. The market was crashing. My house that is worth well over $300, probably close to $300,000. They were selling houses for $50,000 in my neighborhood, you know. So I'm born and raised in Detroit, so I understand the full trajectory and footprint and the people and what it has been and all of those dynamics. So I was always extremely proud, even though I may have been hired to work in the city because no one else did it. It was a privilege, and it still is a privilege to me. So, you know, with all of that being said, it gave me a very unique lens in terms of disadvantages and issues for small businesses. And it was actually at Living Social that I made a vow to myself, if I ever was in the opportunity, I would start my own business to help small businesses win online, because I basically was designing websites and setting up social media pages for small businesses just so they could benefit from Groupon and Living Social. They did not understand, and it would kill me. So yeah, so that's kind of my background and story. And then through all that, did some other stuff a little bit, but pretty much my entire career has been related to the internet and digital marketing. So voila, KanopiSocial, covering, so that's kind of thing. All your needs of digital and strategy, I got them covered. There lies the umbrella for my logo. So a little bit of humor with a little bit of background of being able to just cover all things digital. Okay, next slide. All right, so this picture is funny that this is picked. This is an authentic picture of me being loud on a stage somewhere talking with my real personality. So in 2007, something really cool happened to me along this way. I was chosen to be one of Google's digital coaches. It was a new program. It was 9 of us. It was an iteration of a couple other things that they have done with a guy named Chris Gentile. He's very instrumental in diversity at Google. And I was working with them in a volunteer aspect because I was a marketing director for IT company. And with that, he designed this program. Chose 9 of us throughout the United States, and that was 2017, to be able to really understand. So one of the things that Google, I feel like as a tech company, allowed and did right was they really asked the question, why aren't people of color? Why, what is the gap? What is the issue? And they allowed 9 of us to go into our communities as influencers, and however we said in these territories, all with Google offices. That's kind of how we aligned ourselves. And we were able to go out and start doing training based on classes. And that's how the program was born. So before the pandemic, before everybody had a small business initiative for minority companies and all that type of stuff, we were there. And it gave me a very unique perspective. So I had 2 years of working with small businesses and doing these trainings to, you know, kind of really understand, like, what's the issue in Detroit? Like, what's really going on? So that is how that project, and how I now am one of 20. And the beautiful thing, and this is for all of you all, you know, one of the cool things that happened, this role was, this position was actually based off me and another of my counterparts in Austin. Because of my work with Chris Gentile over time, he didn't tell us this at first. He actually told us at a conference. He said when he wrote the job description, he had me in mind. And it was such an honor. So a lot of people ask, like, how do I become a digital coach? I'm like, they chose us, you know, and it was just, it's one of those things where your path and what you've done in life align. And it was really handed to me. So that's probably one of the most unique things, because Google is typically not that company, but, you know, that's how the chips fell. And it's been 5 years of still growing that. So, okay, keep going. I'll tell you a little bit more, and then we'll get to the questions, my philosophies and stuff. So this is an example. This is pretty much how you go to our pages, and we have topics that we focus on, but ultimately we still have the autonomy to create conversations directed upon certain topics, right? So I'll put in the chat. Is it in here? No. Actually, they expanded our territory. Oh, there it is. Digital coach mission to grow with Google. Okay, I'll put my short link But you pretty much can see all my programming, or if you go to my website, it's really only got 1 minute. If you go to my website, you can find my events and stuff, and I'm adding more to it all the time. So that's KanopiSocial. That's my website. Okay, next slide. And these are some of the other coaches. That's Justin in Atlanta. That's Shanice over in South Carolina. That was just a testimony of, just kind of give you a perspective. I speak literally now all around the city, and we all speak around the country. We might be at I think somebody's at South by Southwest next week. So it's really giving us a great opportunity. Oh, sorry. Okay, got you. I'm giving us a great opportunity in terms of being able to connect authentically with the community on what the issues are. And that's pretty much what makes us unique. I'll go into a little bit more. Okay, keep going. And this is when we were scaling up, as you can see, major cities, and we've entered into more. You can keep going. So even some of these programs have been pretty dope. Get a chance to even work with celebrities and a lot of other stuff. This is my Angela Yee from the Breakfast Club, and just really her support in terms of small businesses, as she's a private real estate investor here, along with DJ Envy and some others, a few celebrities, who really do invest in Detroit. And in the middle is my daughter. She's actually now 20 years old, and she's a sophomore at Howard University. Okay, next slide. How can you find me? Voila. That's my email. How you can even book time with me. I'll put my Google Digital Coaches link in here, which is the one thing that's missing on here because I usually have it somewhere else. But in short, that's my story. Yeah, that's pretty much my story. And, really what's important to me now, though, just to let you guys know, here's the actual link. And what makes me a little bit unique, I do quite a bit of technical assistance. So what this has evolved into, because of my exposure to small businesses, is being able to pretty much be a real amplifier of what's happening here in Michigan. They've expanded our territory to actually Grand Rapids and pretty much all of Michigan. So where there are disparities in terms of technology and the community being able to really grow, that's where I have the opportunity to be an advocate, amplify programs, work with, anything from the SBA all the way to Goldman Sachs. So naturally, I'm a really, great networker, and always have, really, really leveraged and had a great community to build with. And that's what this has grown into. So KanopiSocial, Google is actually just extension of the digital work that I do. So right now I am actually launching programs for nonprofits to help small businesses at scale go from mediocre, almost non-existent website all the way down to tracking and understanding how to read their numbers and revenue, because at the end of the day, I'm a salesperson, and that's what's most important to me. I don't really harbor too much on how your website looks. I know it's important. We talk about that, but you would be amazed at what people get caught up on. So what I make sure I do is drive and have conversations with people that make them realize what's really important. Tracking, understanding a buyer's journey, having authentic conversations with small business owners, because while we as a community are developing all these products and doing all this greatness, 90% of people do not know how to market themselves at all. And that's even those who are sophisticated in their apps, in their websites. When it comes down to being able to talk about who you are and convey to your audience and connect with them authentically and keep it up consistently, it's a struggle. It's a reason why you people have major degrees in analytics and marketing and what branding is. And to expect small business owners to operate on a level now that corporations power teams behind to compete against them is unrealistic and it is not fair. However, the internet allows information to be dispersed fairly, but we need to have people who really channels the information in such a way that you know where to start. The internet is literally a place where you will become dizzy, confused, and will be totally in a space of I don't know, almost continuously, all while trying to be an owner of a business and all these other things. So I've kind of found it my responsibility to empower small businesses in such a way that they can actually win, and somebody talks to them at where they are, not where people think they should be. So there it is. Questions?
There it is. Yo, everybody, let's clap it up for Katrina. Let's do the virtual clap for Katrina. I think that was pretty darn amazing. And I have waited, but because I'm the host, I feel like I can, put my question out there first. So look, as a digital marketer, and I connect with you even within Google, Google really started me off in where my marketing is at now. Google doesn't really hire a lot of businesses to outsource some of their Google ad work. They've only hired around 3, like within the United States, I think 2 or 3. And the company that I worked for was one of them. So I literally worked in a Google office. Oh. So I worked as a Googler, and I contacted all of these businesses pertaining to their ads and everything like this. I think my main question for you is, throughout your midst of kind of traveling of all of these digital phases, because they have definitely been phases of where it started off and where it is now, where do you think the most companies could really focus doing more advertised work on? So as a KanopiSocial, this is a question really for KanopiSocial, because Google, I noticed one thing, and unfortunately, this is the reason why I left Google. It was amazing, but I noticed that some people were putting so much in their ad work that they probably should have taken some of that money and put it towards certain ads within Facebook, or certain ads within certain different areas, or noticing where their demographic was. So I think, what is your idea on, hey, I'm a business, I don't know too much about marketing, but what's something that me as a basic entrepreneur can really start focusing on based off when I find out my demographic? Where do I go after that?
Buyer's journey. If the only thing you could do, your buyer's journey is the most important thing that you will do, because who you talk to in the front of your business, or when they're coming to you as a new customer, and who they are as a loyalist or advocate, are totally different conversations. And it is very hard for people sometimes to figure out how to talk to people along the journey. It is not your responsibility to tell people what they need to do. Your job is to only give the best information as clearly as possible to allow them to make a decision about you as a brand and as a product. The customer journey is so complicated now that to think that you can control it is your immediate way to lose. So your job is to create content and collisions and conversation that educate, empower, and all of that. But you do not know what that is unless you know your buyer's journey, not only where they are in the buying, but emotionally how they act, what are the systems that support it, in addition to that, who are responsible for it in their processing and handling it. So you have to go along that. If you do that, I could literally, which is part of my programming that I've developed, I can take you in any section of your business. I don't care how big, how small. I don't care how much money you make. There's a big myth. I work with small companies and large companies. When I tell you, it is exactly the same. The same conversation I'm having with somebody who's barely pulling it together with someone who is running a $40 million company. The struggle is the same, because marketing is related to humans. It is still at its core a human related experience. So you cannot remove the fact that humans have to participate in this journey. And guess what humans do? Evolve, change, and do what they want to do. We are an infinite number of expressions and possibilities. So how do you capture all of that and make it do what you want? You cannot control it. But what you can do is control your information. What you can do is be clear who you are talking to. What you can do is know what their problems are. It sounds so simple, but if you just stay at the place of, I'm solving this problem with this answer, with this solution, product, or service, bam, there's one, as you know, Micah, here go one ad. You do that again, keep replicating and solving a problem individually, because the algorithms are designed to answer questions. Now it's going into natural language. It's going into all of these things, not to mention it's making decisions for us. But guess what? They're all related to singular problems. So you have to understand your product, your audience, and all that. That is so critical. Like if you just do that one thing, it will help you focus and narrow down where to even start so you can rinse and repeat and do it again. That's the problem. To get the momentum, you can be all things to everyone, but on the internet you can't. It's actually not the truth.
Hey, I think we have time for one more question. I think I saw some comments in the chat, so please, Katrina, don't be afraid to comment back to them. But anybody else has a vocal question that we have some room for?
Donovan said, I need help with marketing in general, business brand and personal brand, something I need to outsource. Oh, okay, Donovan, you just know that's what you need to do. Can I have a stand-in during interviews? What you mean? What do you mean? Can you have a stand-in during interviews?
Oh, so I was saying, like, marketing can be very hard with like managing your personal brand on top of your business brand. And so, like, for example, a business interview, a news interview, can somebody just stand in for me, pretend to be Donovan for a little while and make the sales for me? It's just a joke, but
no, the answer though is for real. Like, if you don't like being on camera, don't be.
Right.
No, that's number one. So don't do that. But what you can do is use products or ideas or concepts. Nike uses athletes. They're selling performance. I've just had this conversation the other day. Red Bull is selling extreme sports. So you figure out what story you can tell, because it is hard. You do not have to show up. Is it preferred? Yes. But one of the strategies and what performs well online is entertainment. So you don't have to be that person all the time. It is hard, until you get a team to hold you up and get all that stuff going. So you got to figure out what works for you that aligns with the brand and the voice and the overall solving the solution. If you just do that in its simplest forms and do that consistently, the other stuff will come. It's overwhelming. We're already too mentally stimulated.
Absolutely.
Donovan, if I could, as a host of DNT, I've seen several companies that have came and have brought a team along, and they shared the support of talking about specific areas. And I think Akil actually just left, but one thing I wanted to say was I commend him for having such a strong presence in what he was bringing up with Phonica. And the reason why is because he could have easily brought somebody up to speak on Phonica's behalf that did not have a particular stutter. But I thought it was so powerful that he presented, and what it gave you is there was purpose in why he was doing it. Absolutely. I think one thing that's very key in marketing is that whenever you're presenting something, it's not like you have to do this whole presentation. You can, if you have a team around you, they can present as well. But what someone wants to connect with is the meaning of why you're doing it. If it's a great product, it's a great product. But if they feel like, oh, there's a reason why this started, then that's all you need to, literally a sentence, a couple of sentences can give off that desire of, hey, this is why I started it. I might not be much of a talker, but I know that there is a purpose for this. And then the product or whatever you have will literally sell itself. Katrina, I think that you did amazing. Again, another virtual hand. Hey, everybody. What'd you say?
Okay, same thing to everyone. This is dope. Like, super dope.
Yes.
Your meetup,
yes. Paul, yours again, and I did read your comment. I can't really wait to connect with all of you, and I really want to understand more about the community living that you're talking about, because I definitely see it. It's not like I don't already live in some sort of a community. I live in townhomes, so our townhomes is of course connected in certain ways. So several people definitely do live in certain communities. So it's like, I want to understand a little bit more. But hey, everybody, within the questions and comments or community updates for Detroit New Tech, again, we are doing a live and virtual presence of Detroit New Tech. We have stationed ourselves as doing our Detroit New Techs at Collider, which is in downtown Detroit. I believe Ryan gave the information in the chat. If you did not get it, please put that in there and she will give it to you. She will put that in the chat. But this is a very powerful, powerful thing. We love seeing and bringing the community closer together. Right now, we did it virtually because it was easier for all of the presenters, since they were doing virtual, to come together, and we just stuck with the virtual. But I want to make sure you all know we also do in person as well. And I believe the last time we did in person, right, Ryan, there was a company called Cherry Monkeys. They had a whole mascot that came on.
Oh, I wish I could drop a screenshot.
Yeah. If you could put up a screenshot, cool. But like, they had their whole mascot that came along. She gave this whole product line, and it was her first time presenting. Right? It was her first time presenting her project, and it was amazing. It was an amazing feeling, everybody. So the update is, please stay tuned. Our live meets are literally crazy. They're amazing, and it's just fun to be a part of the environment. And before we leave, I definitely want to give, speaking of not talking, Donovan, one of the sponsors of Detroit New Tech is on right now, Q from Accelerate Kid. So I definitely want to give him just a couple minutes just to further, talk about whether Accelerate Kid is about or certain things that's happening with Detroit New Tech.
Yeah, so thanks, Micah. I'm sorry I came in late, but I definitely wanted to say thank you to all the presenters, Paul, Katrina, and I think he left already, and also to Ryan as a sponsor for Collider. I'm pretty much behind the scenes. As you can see, Micah has a gift of gab, so I always want him to do the moderating part, because I'm pretty shy about that. Katrina, we met a couple of times, so I was pinging a friend of mine, and she actually knows you. So you know Margarita Berry? That's my girl. She and I are friends, really good friends.
Yes, Margarita. Everybody loves Margarita.
Yeah, she said that you were part of the startup scene way back when. She didn't give me.
Yeah, I go back.
You're
I'm
historical.
back into it this month. There's some stuff getting ready to come down the pipe with me and Monica over at Venture Catalyst. So I didn't even talk about that part, but yeah.
Yeah, so there's a lot of things going on. She said she wanted to shout out, say hi to you. She just texted me. Yeah, so thank you guys again. I think with D New Tech, we want to do something a little different. So as you know, around all these other meetup, startup, entrepreneurship, networking, community events, they're more software based. So what I want to do is bring people in like Paul, and like you, people who are doing more like boots on the ground, doing different things, different sectors of helping out people in Detroit and all over Michigan for that matter. So our organization is a little different. So if you guys have anyone that you can suggest to come out to speak next, that'd be great. I think Micah, you have your friend here, Donovan. He's going to be an up and coming speaker for us. I really want to hear him out and see what he has to say. And I think there was another update regarding some job posting. Ryan, did you get anything from Jacob regarding job postings? Or I'm mistaken? I think he's gave me a Slack thing about some job openings at Collider. Was that not the case? Okay.
We definitely are always looking for talent at Collider, but there is like a job posting channel we have in our Slack. So I'll check that out and then I'll
yeah, what you can do, because we have over 2,000 people members who read the conversation discussion board on DNU Tech. If you could just post it, that'd be great.
on DNU Tech.
Yeah, on the meetup itself.
Okay, cool.
Great.
Thanks.
Okay. Yeah, and I think I'll turn it back over to Micah. Again, I want to thank the presenters and our sponsors.
Hey, everybody, look, I'm so happy that you all came, but please, I know you don't want to continue seeing my pretty face. So my closing remarks is that, again, thank you all for coming. Thank you all for showing up. Please do not be afraid to share this video, rewatch this video. Again, all of this amazing connections points that they have shared via slides, guess where it's at? Our YouTube channel. It is Detroit New Tech. Please subscribe. I sent the link to this exact live video in the chat. Please go there, subscribe. You're going to be able to see the further list of all of our Detroit New Techs. There's just this one, and then I believe last month's, but we're going to put all of our Detroit New Techs onto our DNT page, YouTube page. So please look forward to that. I'm so excited that you guys came, but please, that's all, folks. Get some sleep. Y'all had, it was amazing seeing you also. Have a great rest of your night.